At St. Mary's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts, nurse Lisa Hamilton sank her exhausted body into a chair after finishing her night shift. The hospital at 3 a.m. was wrapped in silence, with only the fluorescent lights in the hallway casting their white glow. She had been struggling to live with her 6-year-old son Tyler ever since losing her husband David in a car accident 3 years ago. "Good work today, Lisa." "It was another tough day, wasn't it?" her colleague Nancy called out to her. Lisa answered with a smile. "Thank you. But seeing the patients getting better really makes me happy." Lisa truly meant it. Being a nurse was physically and mentally demanding work, but she was sustained by her pride in a job that dealt with human lives and by the strong sense of responsibility she felt for supporting her family. Thanks to the life insurance and inheritance that David had left behind, they had financial security, but she still chose to continue working. Her job was also an important support in helping her recover from her grief. When she returned home, babysitter Elizabeth was sitting on the sofa reading a book. This neighbor always took care of Tyler during Lisa's night shifts. Tyler fell asleep around 10 o'clock. He finished his homework too, and he was such a good boy. Elizabeth reported with a gentle smile. Lisa's heart filled with gratitude. For these 3 years, it was because of the support of so many people that their life as mother and son was possible. When she peeked into Tyler's room, his little sleeping face was illuminated by the moonlight. His golden hair and blue eyes looked exactly like his deceased father. Lisa quietly kissed her son's forehead. If David were alive, he surely would have been a wonderful father. He was a kind and caring person, and she could still vividly remember his joy when Tyler was born. The next morning, Tyler woke up cheerfully and ate his breakfast. Having started first grade, he was learning something new every day. "Mama, at school today, I made a new friend. A boy named Jason, and he doesn't have a daddy either, just like me." Tyler talked innocently. Lisa stroked her son's head as she answered. "That's nice. I'm sure you'll become wonderful friends." Tyler sometimes asked Lisa about his father. Lisa always spoke honestly and lovingly about his father. David's photographs were displayed in the living room, and Tyler grew up feeling his father's presence close by. This peaceful daily life began to change a year ago. It was when Lisa met Marcus Smith, who came to the hospital as the family member of an elderly patient she was caring for. He was working as a company employee while caring for his mother alone. Lisa was deeply moved by his dedication. "I'm worried about leaving my mother alone, so I end up coming to the hospital every day. It's hard to adjust my work schedule, but she's family." In Marcus's words, Lisa sensed his good character. His deep love and sense of responsibility toward his mother reminded her of her late husband David. Eventually, even after Marcus's mother recovered and was discharged, the two continued to stay in touch. It started with grateful emails but gradually developed into daily conversations. Marcus was gentlemanly and caring, and he understood the struggles of being a single mother. "Lisa, you're truly a strong woman. Raising a child on your own while caring for so many patients. I respect you." In his words, Lisa felt like she had found emotional support. She felt the reassurance of having someone who understood the burdens she had been carrying alone for so long.
Can you imagine making $10,000 a month just from YouTube, all from home? That's exactly what I did with Reddit Stories. No face, no voice. Check the link in the description if you're curious.
She introduced Tyler to Marcus 3 months after they started dating. Her son's reaction was reserved at first, but as Marcus invited him to play baseball and helped with homework, Tyler gradually warmed up to him. "Uncle Marcus is nice, Mama." When Tyler said that, Lisa felt relieved. Her son's approval was more important to her than anything else. Last month, Marcus proposed to her. At a small restaurant, with Tyler at the table too, he got down on one knee and offered her a ring. "Lisa, I want to marry you. I want to be Tyler's father. Let's build a happy family together, the 3 of us." Lisa answered, yes, through her tears. Tyler was clapping happily too. Expectations for their new family filled Lisa's heart. Marcus was financially stable and would be a good stepfather to Tyler. Most importantly, she felt the reassurance of having a partner with whom she could share the responsibilities she had been carrying alone for so long. The wedding was planned for next month at a small chapel, with only family and close friends invited. Lisa was busy with daily preparations while picturing a happy future. Tyler also seemed to be looking forward to having a new father. On an October morning, 3 weeks before the wedding, Lisa stopped by a bridal shop on her way home from the hospital. After finishing the final fitting for her simple white dress, she felt deeply moved looking at herself in the mirror. 3 years ago, when she lost David, she thought she would never wear a wedding dress again. "You look so beautiful. Marcus will surely be moved." The shop assistant smiled kindly at her. Lisa blushed as she answered, "Thank you." When she returned home, Tyler had come back from school. His little tuxedo was already tailored, and he seemed to be looking forward to his role as ring bearer. "Mama, my tuxedo is really cool, isn't it?" Tyler said proudly, posing in front of the mirror. Lisa's heart warmed at her son's adorable appearance. "It's wonderful. You'll definitely be the most handsome boy at the wedding." However, there had been something concerning about Tyler lately. He wasn't finishing his meals as much as before, and sometimes he would show a vacant expression as if lost in thought. Lisa interpreted this as nervousness about the wedding or anxiety about the change in their environment. "Tyler, is there something you're worried about? Are you feeling anxious about the wedding?" One evening at dinner, Lisa gently asked her son. Tyler thought for a moment before answering. "Yes, I'm a little nervous maybe. But it's okay. Uncle Marcus is a nice person." That answer reassured Lisa. He was probably trying to understand the adult situation in his own childlike way. Marcus had recently started staying over 3 or 4 nights a week. He helped Tyler with homework and actively assisted with dinner preparation. When Lisa came home exhausted from her night shift, breakfast was sometimes already prepared. "You really work too hard. I want you to rely on me more." Marcus always said that. For Lisa, who had been carrying everything alone for so long, those words were more reassuring than anything. The wedding invitations had been sent out, and the final arrangements with St. Paul's Church, the venue, were complete. The flower arrangements were elegant, centered on white roses and Casablanca lilies, Marcus's suggestion that perfectly understood Lisa's preferences. "Your smile is the most beautiful flower, but a ceremony still needs beautiful flowers." Such words made Lisa feel happiness from the bottom of her heart. Her marriage to David had been decided with youthful impulse, but this time it was a marriage based on mature adult love. However, there was one more thing that concerned her. Lately, Tyler seemed to tend to avoid being alone with Marcus. Previously, he had enjoyed playing baseball together and getting help with homework, but now he often said, "I want to be with Mama." "Tyler, don't you want to practice baseball with Uncle Marcus?" When Lisa suggested it, Tyler shook his head. "I'm tired today, so I want to stay with Mama." Lisa thought her son's change was a sign of shyness. It would be natural to have complicated feelings towards someone who was about to become his new father. A week before the wedding, Lisa was given a small bridal shower by her hospital colleagues. Nancy and her fellow nurses gathered to give her heartfelt presents and words of blessing. "Lisa, you truly deserve to be happy. Marcus is a wonderful man." When her colleague Carol said that, Lisa's eyes welled up with tears. For these 3 years, she had lived with the support of so many people. Being able to start a new life with their blessings was the happiest thing of all. The night before the wedding, Marcus returned to his apartment, and Lisa and Tyler spent time alone together. The realization that they would become a family of 3 starting tomorrow filled Lisa with deep emotion. "Tyler, starting tomorrow Uncle Marcus will become your father. Are you happy?" Lisa asked, sitting next to her son. Tyler thought for a moment before answering. I'm happy. But my real daddy is still Daddy David, right? To that question, Lisa answered warmly. That's right. Daddy David will always be your father. But Uncle Marcus will also love us as a new father. The more people who love you, the happier you become. Tyler nodded and then said in a small voice. Since Mama looks happy, I'm happy too. At those words, Lisa felt her son's kindness and growth. Despite being only 6 years old, he was trying to understand his mother's feelings. The next day was indeed a beautiful day, perfect for a wedding. Lisa went to the beauty salon early in the morning to have her hair and makeup done. The person reflected in the mirror looked completely different from the woman who had been consumed with sadness 3 years ago. When she arrived at the church, family and friends had already gathered. David's parents also attended to bless Lisa's new beginning. Lisa, David must be rejoicing in heaven too. He would have wanted your happiness more than anything. When her mother-in-law Margaret said that, Lisa felt as if the past and present were gently connected. Tyler also looked very distinguished in his small tuxedo. Understanding his role as ring bearer, he seemed nervous but excited. Mama, you're so beautiful. Uncle Marcus will surely be surprised. At Tyler's honest words, Lisa smiled. As the ceremony start time approached, the guests entered the church. Lisa was getting ready in the preparation room, feeling her heart racing. The simple white dress enhanced her elegant beauty, and the white rose bouquet in her hand seemed to shine as a symbol of pure love. Lisa, are you ready? It's almost time to start. Her friend Sarah peeked into the preparation room. Lisa took a deep breath and nodded. From inside the church, she could hear the gentle voices of guests and the beautiful sound of the organ. Where's Tyler? When Lisa asked, Sarah answered with a smile. He's doing final practice with the pastor. He's very nervous, but you can tell he's trying his best. Lisa pictured her son's earnest figure and felt warmth in her heart. In his little 6-year-old chest, expectations and anxiety about the new family were probably mixed together. The church doors opened, and the signal was given that the guests had completed their seating. Lisa looked in the mirror one last time and spoke to the late David in her heart. David, you're watching over us, aren't you? I've decided to walk forward with someone I love once again. Tyler will have a new father too. The ceremony began. The solemn sound of the organ resonated throughout the church, and the guests stood up. First, Tyler walked toward the altar as ring bearer, carrying the rings on a small cushion. Her son in his little tuxedo walked step by step surely, though nervously. Next, Lisa began walking down the aisle. Feeling the warm gazes of the guests, she looked at Marcus standing at the altar. Dressed in a black tuxedo, he looked like the ideal groom. At his gentle smile, Lisa was once again convinced that her choice was right. When she stood beside Marcus at the altar, Lisa felt happiness from the bottom of her heart. Father Robert conducted the ceremony solemnly, and beautiful words about love echoed through the church. Love is supporting each other and walking hand in hand even through difficult times. Today, Lisa and Marcus make that vow before God. Lisa nodded deeply at the priest's words. After overcoming 3 years of loneliness and hardship, the moment to finally gain new love and family had arrived. Now we will exchange rings. When the priest announced this, Tyler was supposed to come forward with the ring cushion. However, her son was nowhere to be seen. Lisa looked back anxiously and saw Tyler staring intently at something behind the altar. Tyler. Just as Lisa called out softly, her son suddenly changed color and started running. In his small tuxedo, he ran straight toward Lisa. Mama. Tyler's voice was urgent. The guests began to murmur, and Marcus also showed a confused expression. Tyler grabbed Lisa's hand firmly and looked up at her with a desperate expression. Mama, you absolutely can't get married. Stop it right now. At those words, the entire church fell silent. Lisa knelt down to be at eye level with her son, bewildered by his unusual behavior. "Why, Tyler? What happened?" At Lisa's question, Tyler took out a smartphone from his pocket with trembling hands. It was the emergency cell phone that Lisa had given her son. "Look at this, Mama. You have to look." Tyler's voice was shaking with tears. Lisa received the smartphone in confusion and looked at the screen. A video was playing, and at first she couldn't understand what was being shown. But the next moment, Lisa's blood froze. Marcus's face was clearly visible on the screen. However, it wasn't his kind and gentlemanly expression, but a cruel and terrifying look. And his voice was recorded. "Listen, Tyler. From today, I'm your father. You must never disobey me. If you tell your mother about today, I'll kill your mother. Do you understand?" The Marcus in the video was threatening Tyler with a completely different, cold expression. Lisa stared at the screen in disbelief. "And if you try to do anything at the wedding, you and your mother will never be happy again. Your father is dead. I'm going to be your new father. You just need to listen to what I say." The video continued. It showed Marcus roughly grabbing Tyler's shoulder, and her son cowering and crying. Lisa's hands shook, and she almost dropped the smartphone. "Mama, I was really scared every day. But he said he'd kill you, so I couldn't tell you. Since Mama looked so happy, I thought I should just endure it." At Tyler's confession, Lisa felt her heart would break. Her son had been carrying this terrible secret alone in his small 6-year-old body to protect his mother. But today Marcus said, "I'm going to be even stricter from now on. I can't stand it anymore. I want to protect Mama." Lisa hugged her son tightly. She couldn't stop crying. Thinking about how blind she had been, how much her son had suffered, her chest burned with anger at herself. "Tyler, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that Mama didn't notice." The guests were murmuring, unable to understand what was happening. Marcus stood at the altar with a pale face. There was no longer any kindness in his eyes. Instead, anger and panic at his plan's failure showed. Lisa stood up and stared at Marcus. "This wedding is cancelled." Her voice echoed throughout the church. It was a voice filled with firm determination. "Lisa, what are you saying? Being misled by a child's nonsense." Marcus tried to make excuses, but Lisa shook her head. "It's not nonsense. This is evidence. Evidence that you were threatening my son." Lisa turned to the priest. "Father Robert, I'm sorry, but I'm canceling this wedding. And please call the police immediately." Marcus's face changed instantly. The kind and gentlemanly mask completely fell away. "Lisa, think carefully. If you marry me, you'll be financially stable." A child's words. But Lisa no longer had ears to listen. Protecting her son was the most important thing for her now. Marcus, sensing the situation's deterioration, suddenly ran from the altar. While the guests watched in surprise, he escaped through the church's back exit. But it was too late. One of Lisa's friends had already called the police, and patrol cars had arrived outside the church. Lisa held Tyler tightly, grateful for her son's courage. The 6-year-old's small heart had summoned final courage to protect his mother. Lisa was deeply moved by the depth and strength of that love. The wedding was cancelled, but for Lisa, that was the best outcome. In a small interview room at the police station, Lisa held Tyler's hand tightly while answering the detective's questions. Detective Johnson was an experienced investigator specializing in child abuse who spoke to Tyler in a gentle tone. "Tyler, you were very brave. You protected your mother by telling the truth despite your fear. You're a hero." At the detective's words, Tyler nodded slightly. However, fear still remained, as he wouldn't leave Lisa's side. "When did Uncle Marcus start being mean to you?" At Detective Johnson's question, Tyler answered in a trembling voice. After Mama went to work at night. At first he was nice, but he changed after it was decided he would marry Mama. When I was alone, he always started saying scary things. Listening to her son's words, Lisa regretted her carelessness. To think how terrified her son had been while she was away on night shifts made her heart feel like it would burst. Specifically, what did he do to you? Just tell us what you can. At the detective's encouragement, Tyler gradually began to tell the truth. When Mama wasn't there, he'd grab my arm hard and say, "Listen to what I say." Then he said if I told Mama, he'd run over Mama with a car and kill her. Like Papa. At those words, Lisa was appalled. Marcus had intentionally brought up David's death to threaten her son. And when I was eating, he'd bump into my shoulder on purpose, or when I was doing homework, he'd say, "You're stupid." But when Mama came home, he'd suddenly become nice. Through Tyler's testimony, the full scope of Marcus's calculated abuse became clear. He had cunningly targeted times when Lisa wasn't there to mentally corner her son. "Do you have other recordings on your smartphone?" When the detective asked, Tyler nodded slightly. "Yes, I recorded 3 times. At first I was worried if you'd believe me. But today when Uncle Marcus said, 'I'll be stricter after we get married,' I couldn't stand it anymore." When technicians analyzed the smartphone with equipment they brought, 3 video files were indeed found. All were decisive evidence of Marcus threatening Tyler. Meanwhile, the escaped Marcus was apprehended at a motel near the state border, about 3 hours by car from the church. Forged identification documents and large amounts of cash were found in his car trunk. He had clearly been preparing to flee. The next day, Lisa and Tyler underwent detailed examinations at the hospital. Pediatrician Dr. Miller discovered multiple old bruises on Tyler's body. These bruises are evidence of continuous physical abuse. Fortunately, there are no serious injuries, but psychological care will be necessary. The doctor's diagnosis became important physical evidence to prove Marcus's crimes. A few days later, Detective Johnson visited Lisa's home to report on the investigation's progress. When we thoroughly investigated Marcus Smith's identity, we discovered surprising facts. His real name is Marcus Davis, and he's been charged with fraud 3 times in the past. Lisa was speechless at the detective's report. Moreover, all of them were marriage fraud targeting wealthy widows. He was systematically searching for widows around hospitals and approaching them. Learning about Marcus's criminal history, Lisa understood how skillfully she had been trapped. His story about caring for his mother was likely also a lie to get close to her. What was his goal? At Lisa's question, the detective answered gravely. "Your late husband's life insurance money and inheritance. He had thoroughly investigated your financial situation. He probably planned to steal your assets somehow after marriage." Even more terrifying facts were revealed. Among Marcus's past victims, there was a woman who died in a suspicious accident after marriage. If you had married him, you would have been in an extremely dangerous situation. Tyler's courage may have saved your life. Hearing those words, Lisa was once again filled with gratitude toward her son. Through FBI investigation, Marcus's crimes were prosecuted as federal-level organized fraud. Over the past 10 years, he had deceived at least 7 women and stolen more than $2 million total. 2 of them had died suspiciously after marriage, and murder investigations were also initiated. When court proceedings began, Lisa and Tyler took the witness stand as victims. Despite his young age of 6, Tyler courageously testified about his experiences. "Marcus told me, 'I'll kill your mother.' I was scared, but I wanted to protect Mama, so I worked hard to record it." Tyler's testimony touched the hearts of everyone in the courtroom. Some jury members shed tears. Marcus's lawyer argued that a child's testimony is unreliable, but his claim was completely refuted by the physical evidence of the videos, the doctor's diagnosis, and his past criminal record. In closing arguments, the prosecutor stated, Defendant Marcus Davis is a malicious criminal who systematically and coldly targeted innocent families. His actions of threatening and abusing a 6-year-old child are absolutely unforgivable. Through this brave boy's testimony, further tragedy was prevented. The jury's deliberation ended quickly. The verdict against Marcus was guilty on charges including child abuse, threats, attempted fraud, and past murder charges. A life sentence was sought. On the day of sentencing, Lisa and Tyler sat in the courtroom holding hands. While the judge read the verdict, Marcus remained expressionless until the end. However, the moment the life sentence was announced, confusion showed on his face for the first time. Defendant Marcus Davis is sentenced to 20 years for child abuse, 10 years for fraud, 5 years for threats, and life for murder. These are combined as concurrent crimes, resulting in life imprisonment without possibility of parole. When the verdict was delivered, sighs of relief could be heard from people in the courtroom. Lisa hugged Tyler, finally realizing that the nightmare was over. As they left the courtroom, the prosecutor spoke to Lisa. Tyler's courageous actions also saved other potential victims. He is a true hero. Hearing those words, Tyler smiled a little shyly. 6 months had passed, and Lisa and Tyler had left their previous home and were living peacefully in a new environment. Moving was a necessary decision to completely sever memories of Marcus. "Mama, look. This is a picture I drew at school." When Tyler came home from elementary school, he happily showed her a piece of drawing paper. It depicted a mother and child holding hands and laughing under a blue sky. The shadows of anxiety and fear had completely disappeared from Tyler's expression. "It's very good. You both look very happy," Lisa said while gently stroking her son's head. With the help of child psychologist Dr. Wilson, whom they visited twice a week, Tyler was steadily healing his emotional wounds. His appetite had returned, his relationships with friends were good, and the friendly smile he sometimes showed was much brighter than before. "The teacher praised me, calling me a brave boy. But I just protected Mama." At Tyler's honest words, Lisa's chest grew warm. Through the incident, her son understood how deep his love for his mother was and the meaning of protecting family. Despite his young age of 6, his heart held certain strength. Marcus was sentenced to life imprisonment as scheduled and would spend the rest of his life in prison with no possibility of parole. During the investigation, accusations came one after another from his past victims, and he was ultimately found guilty of 9 fraud charges and 2 murder charges. His crime targeting Lisa and Tyler became his last. "That person will never come out again, right?" When Lisa confirmed with Detective Johnson in charge, he nodded firmly. "Absolutely not. He will be isolated from society for life. You and Tyler are completely safe." Lisa could feel truly at peace. Her work at the hospital continued smoothly. Since learning about the incident, her colleagues had warmly supported Lisa and Tyler. Nancy especially frequently invited them to meals and became like a kind aunt to Tyler. "Lisa, the bond between you and Tyler is truly beautiful. It's a real family connected not just by blood, but heart to heart." Nancy's words were a great comfort to Lisa. Indeed, by overcoming difficulties, they had been bound by a much stronger bond than before. One Sunday afternoon, Lisa and Tyler were having a picnic at the neighborhood park. They spread a blanket on the grass, ate homemade sandwiches, and played a game of guessing cloud shapes. "Mama, doesn't that cloud look like Papa's face?" Tyler said, pointing at the sky. When Lisa looked up, there was indeed a cloud that looked like David's gentle smile. "It really does. Papa might be watching over us. Papa must be happy that I protected Mama, right?" At Tyler's words, Lisa nodded deeply. "Of course. Papa in heaven must be very proud of Tyler's courage." At dusk, the two walked home hand in hand. Along the way, Tyler turned back and said, "Mama, we don't need anyone else anymore, right? I'll protect Mama." Lisa stopped and took her son's hands. Tyler, thank you for protecting Mama. But you're still a child. It's Mama's turn to protect you. But supporting each other is very important. I understand. But I'll always be on Mama's side. At that promise, Lisa felt peace from the bottom of her heart. True family isn't determined by blood relations or legal relationships. It's about loving each other, supporting each other, and joining hands to face difficulties together. Such bonds are the proof of real family, Lisa learned. The incident with Marcus was certainly a terrifying trial, but through it, the mother-son bond became deeper and stronger. Tyler summoned courage to protect his mother, and Lisa reconfirmed her feelings of treasuring her son above all else. What shall we make today? Standing in the kitchen, when Lisa asked, Tyler answered happily. I want to eat Mama's homemade hamburgers. Laughter echoed through the new house. Peaceful and happy daily life had returned to their small family of 2. And this bond would never be broken, no matter what happened. Whatever the future might bring, Lisa and Tyler would walk forward together. As an unshakable family based on true love.